నమస్కారం. నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ ప్రేక్షకులకి ఈ రోజు ఒక అత్యద్భుతమైన వ్యక్తిని పరిచయం చేయబోతున్నాను. నిజంగా ఎంత అద్భుతమైన వ్యక్తి అనంటే నేను నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ 2 సంవత్సరాల ఈ జర్నీలో మేము అనేక వీడియోస్ ద్వారా మీ ముందుకొచ్చాము. అండ్ ముఖ్యంగా ఈ దేశ భవిష్యత్తును మార్చేసిన అంశాలకు సంబంధించి నేను అనేక విషయాలు నేను చెప్పే ప్రయత్నం చేశాను. సిక్కిం గురించి కావచ్చు, లేకపోతే బంగ్లాదేశ్ విముక్తి ఉద్యమం కావచ్చు, అనేక విషయాల్లో మనం భారతదేశం తీసుకున్న నిర్ణయాల గురించి నేను మాట్లాడుతూ ఉన్నాను. అందులో రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్, భారతీయ నిఘా విభాగమైనటువంటి ఈ రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్ గురించి అనేక వీడియోల్లో మీకు అనేక విషయాలు చెప్పే ప్రయత్నం చేశాను. మేము చేస్తున్న ఈ ప్రయత్నాన్ని ఆశీర్వదిస్తూ, నిజంగా చాలా అద్భుతంగా మీరు ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నారని అభినందిస్తూ, మాతో ఈ అంశాలకు సంబంధించి ముఖ్యంగా రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్ లో సుదీర్ఘకాలం పాటు పనిచేసినటువంటి వ్యక్తి 1964 ఐపీఎస్ బ్యాచ్ నుంచి వచ్చి ఆ తర్వాత రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్ 1968లో మొదలైంది. అప్పటి నుంచి ఆయన జర్నీని కొనసాగిస్తూ వచ్చారు. బంగ్లాదేశ్ విముక్తిలో కావచ్చు, అటు సిక్కిం భారతదేశంలో విలీనం అవ్వడంలో కావచ్చు కీలక పాత్ర పోషించినటువంటి వ్యక్తి. కీలక పాత్ర అనే కంటే సిక్కిం విలీనం అవ్వడంలో, భారతదేశంలో సిక్కిం ఈ రోజు మన భారత భూభాగంగా ఉండడంలో అత్యద్భుతమైన పాత్ర పోషించినటువంటి రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్ ఆఫీసర్. అండ్ ఆ తర్వాత కాలంలో ఖలిస్తానీ మూవ్మెంట్ టైంలో కూడా వారు స్పెషల్ ఆపరేషన్స్ లో పాల్గొన్నారు. అండ్ ఖలిస్తాన్ కి సంబంధించి బింద్రెన్ వాలే వివాదానికి ముందు నుంచి కూడా వారు కెనడాలో పనిచేశారు. అండ్ ఈ రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ అనాలిసిస్ వింగ్ నుంచి నిఘా అధికారిగా ఆయన కీలకమైన ఆపరేషన్స్ లో పాల్గొని ఈ భారతదేశం సమగ్రతను కాపాడే ప్రయత్నం చేశారు. అటువంటి GBS సిద్ధు గారు ఈ రోజు మన అతిథి. వారితో మనం మాట్లాడబోతున్నాము. సిద్ధు గారు నేషనలిస్ట్ హబ్ చేస్తున్న ప్రయత్నాన్ని వారు వీక్షించి వారి స్నేహితుల ద్వారా ఈ తెలుగులో ఉన్న ఈ కంటెంట్ ని తెలుసుకొని మమ్మల్ని అభినందిస్తూ మెయిల్ చేయడం జరిగింది. మమ్మల్ని కాంటాక్ట్ చేశారు. నేను వారికి నిజంగా రుణపడి ఉన్నాను, వారు మా కృషిని శ్రమని గుర్తించినందుకు. అండ్ ఫస్ట్ ఐ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ Mr. GBS Sidhuji. He is the one, really చెప్పాలంటే భారతదేశపు గర్వించదగ్గ ఒక దేశభక్తుల్లో ఆయన ఒకరు. సో వారితో మాట్లాడదాం. నమస్తే సిద్ధుజీ. Thank you very much for giving time to speak with us, sir. It's really honor for us and privilege to speak to you about the operations and learning. This is really a great opportunity for me to learn things from you and learn your experiences.
Sir. It is my pleasure to be on your
Thank you, sir.
program. Let us hope I can help you in answering your questions or satisfy your questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I just want to ask you one question, sir. You have participated in the lead operations by Research and Analysis Wing. So all these years, Research and Analysis Wing is the only the backbone of the country. Actually, most of the people doesn't know about. I mean, a common man, a layman doesn't know about the operations which you have taken through. But today, I want to ask you, after retiring from Research and Analysis Wing, and how do you feel? How the nation is prospering? Now we are getting into the 75th year of independence. So how do you feel? Is nation is prospering in a proper manner or not? I just want to know about your opinions.
Actually, it is just by chance that you happen to be at a particular place at a particular time.
Oh.
It is not that I selected those operations. So I was entrusted with the second most, or you can say the second largest landmark operation of R&AW. The first being a very significant role played by the department in the liberation of Bangladesh, just like creation of Mukti Bani, etc. And I had just completed 8-9 years service and 18 months service in R&AW that Mr. Kaur, the founder secretary of R&AW, called me to tell me that I have been handed over this very sensitive operation, the merger of Sikkim, and I was able to live up to his expectations, and I completed that operation in 27 months when Sikkim became 22nd state of India through 36th Amendment to the Constitution. And thereafter, I observed certain developments which I have incorporated in my second book, the Sikkim book, Sikkim Dawn of Democracy. You have also covered it in one of your programs. And then the second book, I have written all that. One feels happy and gratified so far as the Sikkim operation is concerned that I have been able to do something very important for the motherland. And that is the greatest reward yourself when you live. You start feeling you never share all these things with public. These are the all top secret operations. But once a 30-year period, mandatory period, as laid down in the official Secrets Act was over, I wrote that book and I said, let people know what happened, especially the Sikkimese people who were being misled by other authors to believe that India annexed Sikkim. Actually, it was the other way around. After independence, after Nehru took a decision to give a special status to Sikkim, Ministry of External Affairs started crushing their pro-democracy, pro-merger movement in order to build the image of Chogyal. So here I cleared it up that it was India who deserted you, and now it is we who are going to help you back to bring back to India. So it is not an annexation; it was a restoration of democratic movement. That is why I have written the book in a sort of history of freedom movement of Sikkim.
Yes, yes, yes.
About the second book, it was a painful experience actually
Okay.
to see that things are being done which are not in the interest of the nation. And that is why I revolted in 83 after I returned from third visit to US and Canada. And I told Mr. Saxena at that time that look here, when he said, well done, this and that, no, you go to Bangkok as head of the station. I say, I'm not going anywhere. And I apprehend that something very terrible is going to happen before the end of the next year. I want to be here. And I also told him that I cannot be seen doing something which favors only one person, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, one family, one family, and one party, Congress, but which shakes the foundation of the country. So it was a protest within the department. Nobody knew it was between me and the secretary. So, but the love and dedication to the nation was there, which helped me to survive that period. And I had always had a smile on my face till I wrote this book. Not many people knew that I had to undergo that experience.
I read all two books, sir. One is Sikkim Dawn of Democracy, and the second one is the Khalistan Conspiracy. Where I've struck is you have mentioned in your book, like according to you, there was no organized pro-Khalistan movement either in Canada or in India till the end of 1979.
Yeah, actually, after the merger of Sikkim was over, and I dealt with after merger problems, I was asked to go to Canada.
Okay.
I was posted to Canada as first secretary in the High Commission of India, Ottawa, in September 1976.
Okay.
So there I stayed for 3 years. And I traveled extensively throughout Canada, came to know almost every influential Indians, especially Hindus and Sikhs of Punjab. And through my interaction with these people, I came to know that in whole of Canada, only two people used to talk about Khalistan till the end of 79. One was Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, self-styled Consul General of Khalistan. He was Jagdish Singh Chauhan's man. Jagdish Singh Chauhan was known to be working for ISI, Pakistan, or even some senators, US senators, Republican senators, etc. So he used to sell passports of Khalistan, stamps of Khalistan, all these things. And then another person was Professor Uday Singh of Sudbury. He was a pious Sikh and used to teach mathematics in Laurentian University. Both were in Toronto area. And he would never propagate, unlike Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, but he would talk to anybody who went to meet him. He said that Khalistan should be there in order to protect the interests of the Sikhs. And regarding the popularity or following of Kuldeep Singh Sodhi, I was invited to a function in Toronto in March 1979 by the Sikh, that was a Sikh conference, first Sikh conference. And I was speaking at that and telling them that, look here, you must care for your children and make them as good citizens of Canada. Your interest in India is okay, but don't bother too much time. And as soon as I said this thing, he stood up. He wasn't in the hall in the meeting. And he started criticizing Mr. G.B. Singh. My passport name is Singh. He is the agent of Morarji Desai's Hindu government, and he better tell us as to how the Sikhs are being mistreated in Punjab. The moment he said this thing, he was picked up by four Sikh gentlemen who were sitting next to him and taken out of the hall. So he was thrown out of there. So this is how much the respect of Khalistan followers were there. And within a few months, I got a letter from my senior joint director from Delhi telling me that they are not interested in Gurdwara politics. Gurdwara politics, I used to tell them that look here, these activities are taking place. Please advise the Kali party and other. Why are you washing your dirty linen openly? Hindus and Sikhs, you are creating differences. No, no, we are not. And again, I have written in my book that December 80 was the first time when a new division or branch on Khalistan or Sikh extremism was opened in R&AW. If there was any movement, Khalistan extremism, there should have been a division, and R&AW should be watching all these things. It was done. So that deals my Canada part. Now about Punjab or India, I am a Sikh. I studied in Punjab. I knew everybody. Other than before partition or independence, Britishers and also Jinnah tried to incite the Sikhs to ask for Khalistan. But once a decision was taken that they will go to India, go with India, there was no going back at all. In fact, the largest number of sacrifices in the freedom struggle everywhere were made by the Sikhs. INA, thousands of people. If you go to Andaman Nicobar, maybe 80-90% were Sikhs. Persons who were hanged, maybe 90% Sikhs were hanged. So even in this Vancouver and Los Angeles area, there was a Ghadar movement, 1913. During that period, their plan was to incite revolt and mutiny in the Indian Army.
Correct.
3006 migrated from, they sold their properties in UK and US and Canada, came back to India to participate in that movement. Unfortunately, that was detected, and quite a few young Saraba, Kartar Singh, 18, 17 years old, man who was managing that magazine, he was hanged also. All these people were hanged. So calling Sikhs that Khalistanis is as good as abusing them. It is not. Their role must be recognized. And then I have also quoted, because nobody may believe, Mr. B.G. Deshmukh, ICS, he was the Additional Secretary Home at that time and in charge of internal security of India. He traveled by road to Punjab, to Amritsar. He met a large number of farmers in the field. He met Hindu industrialists in Ludhiana. He met SGPC member in Amritsar, pilgrims. He didn't find, although Bhindranwala, he said moving around, but there was nobody talked about Khalistan. On his return, he told his joint secretary, 79 later on, that Punjab is a haven of peace and tranquility. And only in Punjab at that time also, only I knew about 4 or 5% individually who used to talk. One of them was this, you can say, Kapoor Singh, ICS, he was a dismissed officer, ICS officer, dismissed on other charges. He was ideal of Khalistan. 3 people, individuals. Jagdish Singh Chauhan also, as I mentioned. But there was not much of a following at that.
Sir, you have written this book in the form of an intelligence operation run by some senior or this influential Congress leaders. This is very interesting and unfortunate thing, actually, to be precise. Operating from Mrs. Gandhi's residential office, which is 1 Akbar Road, you mentioned. Who were these leaders? And what was their motive, and how did they want to achieve their goal? And what was their goal actually? I just want to understand the goal of that.
Firstly, after emergency, as I written my book in 75, there were no important leader left in the Congress. My father-in-law, Sardar Swaran Singh, who was the defense minister, external affairs minister, he objected to that declaration of emergency. He had to resign. So after that, there were all yes men left. Power was centered in only Prime Minister's residential office. That was 1 Akbar Road.
1 Akbar.
So here, again, I have written this book in the form of some sort of an intelligence operation, howsoever crude it may have been, so that people should understand. So younger generation will take more interest in reading what it is. So every operation has 3 elements in number one. Number one, what is the objective? What are they going to? That is why you launch an operation. Then how are you going to achieve that objective? Second element. Third element is who are the person who will be running that operation.
Correct.
Objective of, so far as who are running this operation, let me talk about it. So operation So Operation 1 was Punjab centric, and it started in 1978, middle of that, and lasted till 79, end of 79. And it was Punjab centric. Operation 2, which started from January 1980 when Congress returned to power at the center, was at a higher national level. The purpose here was to win the next election due before 1985 on Khalistan Bhindranwale issue. So,
Okay.
so far as I have called these people who were working or who were operating from Akbar Road, Prime Minister's personal residential office. She used to live at that time, one Safdarjung, and adjacent house was one Akbar Road. So I have called them as one Akbar Road group. The first operation, the first group was Mr. Gandhi, Zail Singh, Sanjay Gandhi, and Kamal Nath.
Mm.
The second group, Sanjay was there in 1980 January when the elections were won. Then Arun Nehru, Fotedar, then Arun Singh and Kamal Nath. These were the persons in that group. But after Sanjay died in June 1980, then Rajiv replaced him. Whereas in the first operation, Sanjay was the main force in the operation. And even till his death, he was running the operation too also. But after Rajiv Gandhi took over his place, then Arun Nehru, Fotedar, these people started manipulating Rajiv Gandhi. And now I should tell you slightly briefly each operation.
Correct.
Operation 1, after in 1977, in spite of the fact that 1971 elections were won by Mrs. Gandhi on Garibi Hatao issue, two-third majority, and Bangladesh liberation, Sikkim's merger. In spite of that, Mrs. Gandhi had to impose emergency because of JP Jayaprakash Nayak movement. They wanted Mrs. Gandhi to resign. So, but as a result of that emergency, Mrs. Gandhi and Congress lost 1977 elections, parliamentary and state elections had very badly. In Punjab in 1977, Akali-Dal government led by Badal and supported by Janata Party, BJP's precursor, they came to power. Now Zail Singh became out of power. He was like feeling like a fish out of water. So Zail Singh advised Sanjay Gandhi that now we can destabilize this coalition government by raising a son, so-called son, who can criticize the moderate policies of the Akali-Dal. Because if there's a coalition between Hindu and Sikh interests, you have to follow moderate policy, common ground. So he said we can start creating fissures, creating differences between these things. If a very loud speaking, strong son starts criticizing them. So I have quoted this from Kuldeep Nair's book. So Kuldeep Nair asked Kamal Nath, how did you recruit this thing? He said, we interviewed two sons. One of them was very mild man. Another man, Bhindranwale, was a strong in tone. We thought he'll foot our bill. And we used to pay him also. And ultimately, he's also said that we were totally surprised when Bhindranwale started becoming a terrorist and other thing. I've written in the book that this is what they actually wanted from him. They must be very happy about it. But during this period till 79, I have also written that Bhindranwale never asked for Khalistan.
Mm.
So what is the use of his being recruited? They did not recruit him for Dharm Prachar. So they wanted him to propound the case. Or the Bhindranwale always used to say that I don't want Khalistan. If any reporter asked him, but if Mrs. Gandhi puts Khalistan in my lap, I will not say no.
Okay.
So in that, Zail Singh came with a very novel idea. Zail Singh was chief minister. Then he raised Dal Khalsa group in Chandigarh, who started demanding for Khalistan. Its first meeting, expenses for first meeting and expenses for press interview were paid by Zail Singh and other senior reporters. It was in the newspapers. And throughout his stay as home minister also, Zail Singh used to call newspaper reporters from Chandigarh and Punjab, please give their Dal Khalsa news on front pages. So Dal Khalsa is the same group which hijacked Indian Airlines in September 91 when Bhindranwale was arrested in this murder case. And then This was their first demand, Dal Khalsas, while hijacking the please release Bhindranwale. A party or a group supporting Bhindranwale, demanding Khalistan, now everybody started feeling that Bhindranwale is a Khalistan.
Okay.
So in spite of all that,
Okay.
not much of a success could be achieved. Bhindranwale contested the SDPC elections in 79, 140 seats, he could get only 4. And people, as Mr. B.G. Deshmukh said in 79, nobody followed Bhindranwale. Bhindranwale had not much of an influence. He supported 3 Congress MPs and openly campaigned for them in the 1980 January elections. And there is a report that he was seen sitting with Mrs. Gandhi on the dais, which Mrs. Gandhi denied later on. So that phase, but the seed for the next phase was sown in this. So Bhindranwale now was willing to do their bidding. And Bhindranwale is willing for a very big role. So this, Sanjay Gandhi and Jayal Singh realized this thing. Now they were able to, Sanjay and all these people were able to bring down Murarji Desai's government and then Charan Singh's government, although in routine the election should have been held in 82, but they were able to bring it to 80 January. So after winning these elections, now the second phase starts.
Okay.
2 operations took from part after winning this election. So Sanjay advised his mother, that look here, we don't want 77 to be repeated. Mrs. Gandhi's condition was pitiable after losing the 77 election for the first few days. They say, in spite of all that we did in Bangladesh and Sikkim, etc., we lost. Now we should ensure that we should not lose the next election, which were due 5 years hence. They were due normally in January 1985, although they were brought in November 84. He said we should start preparing on this. And then he said, we would win this election on Bhindranwale Khalistan issue. Bhindranwale will inspire extremism, creating the fear of their safety in the minds of the Hindus. And Khalistan issue was backed, and we will support Khalistan issue from behind, both in India and abroad, so that people start believing that there is a threat to the India's integrity. And we will keep this heightened atmosphere till about 4, 5, 6 months before the next elections. And then we will come heavily on these elements, Bhindranwale and other, which came ultimately in the shape of Blue Star. And then Hindus will say that we have been saved, our country has been saved, and they will overwhelmingly support us. So this was the second operation.
My God, it is really, really, really unfortunate thing. But yeah, it's a tragic thing. So,
here, one thing I want to add is that there was a third operation, which we will talk later on. That was a surgical operation, which took place after Mrs. Gandhi's assassination, which led to anti-Sikh pogroms in New Delhi.
Yeah.
That was another. I have not given the shape of an operation, but I have mentioned some sort of thing.
So before getting into that, while Operation 2 was formulated and executed in between 1980 and 1985, how did they manage to prolong the unrest in Punjab? I mean, how did they? This is not a small thing, and at the same time, it's a challenging task. And managing the things is very, very, very challenging. No, so how did they manage?
This is actually a very good observation. Here, I must say that things could have started earlier, but Sanjay unfortunately died in June 80.
Correct.
Another 6 months, then it got delayed further. So real things started in 80, towards 80 and or 81. So 3 years period, they had to manage. How to manage this thing? How to keep the pot boiling, but it should not overboil and overflow also.
Yeah.
No, it should continue simmering discontent. So they chose 2, 3 things for that. Number one is, Mr. Gandhi started talks with the KALEIDO to address to their grievances, very old grievances, water problem, all these things. They had with Haryana and other places in 1980, October, November. So the talks were started. There were 26 rounds of talks till Operation Blue Star. None of them succeeded. Hopes were given. Yes, yes, we will give you next time, so that there is a continued hope. And six should start now getting jittery that why this delay is there. So that will add to the unrest in Punjab also. People will say, why are you not accepting? Why are you not? And while she started the talks in 81, October, November, in December 81, she called Darbara Singh in her office in the presence of Bhajan Lal and Chief Minister of Rajasthan. He was asked to withdraw the water dispute from Supreme Court. So while you are starting talks and you are withdrawing the water problem, which is a very, very sensitive subject in Punjab. So poor fellow, just to save his job, Darbara Singh was a secular man, unlike Zail Singh, who was totally committed, who he had no scruples at all. He's a totally secular person. So here, then secondly, he also told Mr. Cow that you start preparing for a commando operation, secret frontier force, SFF. There's a commando. There used to be a commando before SPG and SG came. R&AW used to, even now also they have very, very highly professional commando force. So you now, so that we can pick up Bhindranwale from Chowk Mehta Gurdwara. Bhindranwale was, his headquarters was Chowk Mehta, about 35 kilometers from Amritsar. So I was also asked by Mr. Sidhu to go to Chowk Mehta and prepare a map, etc. Then I told him, sir, I'll be easily identified. You are going to let the operation out. So another person was sent. He was also chased out actually. So here again, so these two things simultaneously continued. While one was going on, another operation. Before Chowk Mehta could be raided, he shifted to Guru Nanak Niwas, Bhindranwale. Guru Nanak Niwas, before they could launch there, he shifted to Akal Takht. So it was a cat and mouse game there also. But finally Mr. Cow prepared an operation that was rejected by Mrs. Gandhi. We will discuss actually later on if at all. Now, how to manage this situation? Rajiv Gandhi had no experience. These youngsters have no experience. They have ran companies only. This company and country is different. So three man different, I will say, think tank was appointed. Number one was Cabinet Secretary Krishna Swami Rao Sahab. Second was Home Secretary Mr. Chaturvedi. After Chaturvedi was transferred, MMS Wali. And third was E.C. Alexander, Mrs. Gandhi's personal principal secretary. So all these day-to-day issues were managed by them. So all decisions relating to Punjab were taken over by the center, and these three persons were remaining. There was no power left with Punjab at all, neither Chief Minister nor anybody else. So these are the people who were running that operation.
Sidhuji, I'm curious to know that at what stage you came to know that you are being used for this entire project or operation, whatever it may be. And this operation is not in the interest of the nation, and this is just for an election's sake. They have formulated this operation. Then they have used the officials like you, experienced patriots like you, for this operation. When did you notice this, and what was your reaction at that time?
Actually, here I must say, when I returned from Canada, as I told you earlier, in October 79, I was given a highly sensitive post and succeeded Mr. Vajpayee. He was 13 years senior to me, but I was not even promoted to that rank. Mr. Santook had confidence in me because in 72, when I joined R&AW, I worked with him. He was joint secretary, I was assistant director. So, unusual decision. I picked up that rank 6 months after that deputy director. But no, you please take it. So, had I not been posted there, I wouldn't have known all these things, what happened there. Although it was none of my job to look after Khalistan and other things. But being a Sikh who knew all these things, I was used certain operations. So first, I came to know about this only in 82, March, April, I'll let you know. But there were some, you can say, indications which started appearing. First, I told you was the creation of a new division in R&AW to look after Khalistan and Sikh extremist issues. So Raman was made deputy director in charge. He was very highly efficient officer, Raman, senior to me by 2-3 years. So I started thinking that why they have created this division. There is no Khalistan. Okay, maybe. Then 2, 3 months after that, we were still in South Block. Mr. Santu called me that Sidhu, please make a proposal for the creation of 7 new stations of R&W in West Europe and South America and North America. He says that the proposal should say that we think that there is a danger of Khalistan, pro-Khalistan sentiment catching up the imagination of the Sikhs abroad. So before that happens, we want to post these men here and there. So this shows how planning was going on. He knew. He must be in touch with Mr. Gandhi. Secretary R&W at that time used to meet Mr. Gandhi almost every day. We were in South Block. He may have crossed, or principal secretary, both of them. So they were planning at this. I said, okay, in my heart of hearts, there is no, but I knew certain pro-Khalistani people, men who used to talk all sorts of high-flying things, the Khalistan, this. Based on that knowledge, I prepared 1.5-page note for each station, 7 units. And I said to that MEA, there used to be a lot of discussion, struggle to get even a small one post from the Ministry of External Affairs, because we have to working under cover of foreigners. So they would say there is no room for him, there is no room for that, we will not give. I used to have a long list of those people pending for the last 7-8 years. No, I thought, let me send, nobody will sanction. We have not got, but I was extremely surprised, pleasantly surprised to be frank. All sanction came within 2 months. I said I have been able to achieve things which my predecessor could not achieve. I did not know that this is going to happen to that. Okay. Again, I have quoted one incident here also, that one I took the first man, it took some time because Raji Desai had cut the R&W strength to by 1/3. So there were not many men. It took us almost 1.5 years to fill the first post. When I took that man to introduce to Mr. S.J. Singh, Ambassador S.J. Singh, he was director, my equivalent in the MEA. So I have not named him, but later on he said, why did you name? You should have written. I introduced him and I told him, he asked that man that, look here, how your posting is going to help R&AW? Where is the Khalistan movement? I don't know. There is nothing on the ground. So my officer could not explain. I have to tell S.J. Singh, look here, the difference between MEA, key answer, that MEA and R&W is that MEA comes to know about things when they started appearing in the press or media. R&AW comes to know about the conceptual stage itself. We know that there will be. I have to defend my proposal. Ultimately, I said, okay, please write this thing on the file, that there is no chance of Khalistan movement coming or gaining strength. Please take him back. So he didn't have the guts. He know that foreign secretary and everybody has sanctioned that post. Then when these posts came by the middle of 81, we had shifted to our new building, CGO complex in Lodi Road.
Okay.
Mr. Santok told me that nobody knows about Khalistan here. You brief officers of deputy director and above rank of R&AW. So what is Khalistan? What type of information they should be looking for, and how to collect information, all sorts of things. So I briefed them. So it means that there was total ignorance about this also. Only Raman was looking after that branch. Again, as I mentioned to you that our posts were sanctioned, men were not there. In December 1981, Mr. Santu called me. In August 1981, Mr. R&AW, the founder secretary, who had retired in 77 after Morarji came to power, he was recalled by Mrs. Gandhi as senior advisor. Later on, I came to know that he was looking after this Khalistan, all these issues also, in addition to other things also. And so he told me that please go to Canada and USA. We are hearing very bad news. Khalistan movement is picking up momentum. We are blank about it. So he knew that I have a lot of contact in Canada, USA, everybody. So I went there, spent 15 days time, met High Commissioner Gurdial Singh Dhillon, the later on speaker also. So everybody told me that since we have gone in the last 1.5 years or 2 years, things have changed a lot. Hindus and Sikhs, there are differences. And earlier Gurdwara meetings used to be Jod Melas or social get-togethers. Now they are not coming to the Hindus have stopped coming. So then some people said that the main problem is in India, You people, your newspaper, Hindi and Punjabi news and small newspapers are creating differences. Nobody is bothered about us. Local embassies or high commissioners are not in touch with us. You all must do something to improve this atmosphere. So I came back and I showed that one-page note to Mr. Santu. He said, point-wise, please prepare a note and show to Mr. Kaur. It was January 1982 or 27th December 1981. So I went there and met Mr. Kaur. At that time, he used to sit down. He had two offices. One was in Rashtrapati Bhavan and on the ground floor under the office of, beneath the office of Cabinet Secretary. I met him there.
Okay.
I showed him, sir, this is what it is. I talked to him. He said, please meet Sharda Prasad. This is very important actually. Sharda Prasad was Principal Information Officer to Prime Minister. His office was just opposite Mrs. Gandhi's on the left side corridor.
Okay.
Because he managed his press, media. You can imagine these days how controlling
Yes,
people
I
are.
understand. Yeah.
You will not, no paper will function without advertisement, etc.
Correct.
So all these, he was the controlling them. So I showed him this paper. He said, he didn't talk to me at all. Yes, you can go. I thought he will do something to improve the situation. That's why Kausa has sent me to him. But I was shocked that within a few months, just the opposite started happening. They used me to collect information as to what is the effect of things that they are doing outside and now how it can be aggravated. Even very important lead editorials or very important editors of national press, they started writing very damaging. Sikhs never forgot Bhut and G. Singh's empire. They always wanted Khalistan, all these things. These were there in the newspapers. I started feeling that. I said, what was he doing? Then this was 81. And it was only in 82 March and April that a friend from Patiala came to me. I belong to Patiala, Punjab.
Okay.
I knew him from the childhood days, families. Hindu. He came to me, कि भाई साहब, वीर जी पंजाबी में कहा कि something very alarming I have heard from RSS functionaries in Patiala. The thing was, he said that after winning the 1980 elections, Mrs. Gandhi, as advised by Sanjay Gandhi, had taken a decision to win the next elections on Khalistan Bhilrawale issue. That is why I have written like this. Till then, I did not know why it was happening. Then my eyes and ears opened. Then what is this? I am helping. Again, I went to US, Canada in 82, July, August, Mrs. Gandhi's state visit. Purpose was to save Mrs. Gandhi's life. And I was a one-man commission. Then again, 83 in September, when Mrs. Gandhi was to address the UN on September 28. During this period, when I went next time in 82 after 81, then my friends asked me that we told you, please do this thing. It is just opposite is happening here. What sort of a man you are? You assured me. I said, okay, they will take time. What can I do? What should I say then? But by the time I went in 83, not many people, they said that you are collecting intelligence to harm our interests here. What sort of friend relation you are? We will not talk to you. Because these are not my sources at all. These were all friends, relations, and contacts only. Because my job was not the Khalistan. I was dealing with the other things. And here again, within a year of post taking this charge, I was given an additional charge by Mr. Santu, another very sensitive post of liaison with foreign intelligence agencies. We have give and take with most of the agencies, foreign agencies, including MI6 or CIA. So after the third visit, I came back in October once. By this time, our secretary has changed, Mr. Girish Chandra Saxena. Gary Saxena, who later became governor of Jammu and Kashmir, stayed there for 10 years. He was our secretary. I knew from Uttar Pradesh cadre. We were the same cadre. We are good, just like an elder brother. He said, well done, Sidhu, you have done this thing, you have done this thing. Now you go to Bangkok as station head. Bangkok is a very important post for Southeast Asia. R&AW. I said, nothing doing, I'm not going anywhere, as I told you earlier also. That I think something terrible is going to happen before the end of this year because of my friend having told that they will come heavily to please the Hindus to get votes. I did not know it will be like Blue Star. I thought something big will happen. What type of big, I don't know. I say something terrible is going to happen. No, please, I'm not going anywhere. Secondly, please relieve me from these important posts. Give me an analysis desk where I will sit quiet, read, write my analysis reports. So, no. Then I said, okay, I can't be doing a thing which helps one person, one family, or one party, and a thing which can shake the foundations of the country for a long time to come.
Correct.
So he understood what I was saying, but he was helpless. I have written that I could judge from his face that I can tell him and get away with it. But if he has to say this thing to Mrs. Gandhi, he should be carrying his resignation letter in his pocket and even face serious consequences. So they used to act, secretary used to act as a cushion. I have said everything. So it's okay. My conscience was clear. Now it's up to them to do whatever they want to do. I can't be, I would be a fool if I start revolting. Here is a jhanda, I'm against this. So you have to fight quietly. All these battles have to be fought quietly.
So you said this in 1983, yes, sir?
3 October, I was there. And then I was posted, it took me 2-3 months to go to another bench. Then the day I took over, that was a time when Sri Lanka had a problem, LTT. They had killed those 24 soldiers. And Sri Lanka was boiling. It was a one part charge only on analysis desk. I was not the operation charge. I had no connection with any. I was sitting in quiet reading and writing my report.
Can we expect another book on LTTE?
Actually, anything which is not in the national interest, I will not write, and that is what I have written.
Particularly, you have written in this book, and as mentioning that Mrs. Gandhi wanted to solve the Punjab problem earlier. There were a number of occasions to do so. But why did she not do that?
Actually, she wanted to create a problem. Why should she solve it? But not many people would believe. But I can give you 4 examples where this problem could have been solved, but she did not solve. Number first is in November 1982, when Bhindranwale had entered Guru Nanak Niwas in Golden Temple Complex, Longowal, Harchan Singh Longowal, the Supreme Akali leader, he sent a messenger to my father-in-law, who was at that time living in Jalandhar. He used to come to Delhi and stay with one of his daughters. Then he said, sir, the real word was that you have put your jinn or bhoot in Guru Nanak Niwas, and he will take over our peaceful education and take it towards extremism. Okay. He blamed the Congress that you people have sent him. Please help us to get out of this education, find a solution. We want to withdraw our education. It was November 82. At that time, my friend had already told me. He met everybody, all the Akalis, other than Longowal, everybody was in jail. He went to meet all of them, told them this is what I'm going to do. And he also met Bhindranwale in his room. This is what Kuldeep Nair has written in his book. I knew about it, but there is a corroboration that one day he was sitting in Bhindranwale's room, only one chair was there, and Sardar Swaran Singh comes, and he sat on the floor on the dari, and when he offered the chair, Sardar Swaran Singh told him that in the presence of this type of sant, my place is this. He said this thing to boost the ego, massage the ego of the Bhindranwale, so that he wanted some concession. And Nair did not know. I told Nair a couple of years before he died that this is the reason. Nair is a good old friend of my father. Which I didn't know about. After everybody had gone, my father-in-law told Bhindranwale, look here, you are sadly mistaken if your this motorcycle gun running army man will bring out a revolution. I am surprised why no action has been taken by central government. If they want, they can finish you in 2 days. I am surprised that they have not done it. Then he said, look here, I'm not bothered about that. I have come here to ask you. I have started negotiation with the approval of Mrs. Gandhi. And please tell me as to what you want to go back to your. And first thing he said, Hindu discrimination, all these things. Then he said, look here, this can be taken out care by Akali, Badal, Longowal, and everybody. You tell. He only wanted the release of his two friends, Amrik Singh and Thara Singh. They were in jail, release them, I'll go. Such a small thing. Actually, he came back, and at that time he stayed with me for 4 or 5 days. And I told him what my friend told him. I told him that if my information is correct, you will not be able to find a solution. He said, you people are, intelligence people are in the habit of seeing ghosts behind every bush. I told him, sir, you may be right. I wish you all. Ultimately, after discussion, a note was prepared which was to be read in Parliament. This note was shown to the Akalis and they went back to Amritsar. That once this note is received, we will withdraw this. After having approved during daytime, the same note before it was sent to Home Minister to be read was changed at night by Mr. Gandhi.
Oh.
It was made very hard-line thing. And next morning, people who were waiting, fourth morning, November 482, they were waiting in Amritsar. Either Badal or Balwant Singh called from Amritsar. My father, he was sitting in my house. He said, sir, we are waiting for the letter, has not come. He called Pranab Mukherjee, who was at that time his former colleague, he was the coordinator. Pranab, what happened to that letter? He said, sir, we are going to read this letter, Home Minister, and then we will send. But after 2 months, 2 hours, again that fellow calls from Amritsar, either or Badal, sir, this letter has been changed. We cannot withdraw on this letter. Then he again calls in my presence, Mr. Pranab. I wish Mr. Pranab Mukherjee had been alive because before I sent the book for publication, at that time, he was still alive. I would have confronted him. Because I had listened to this conversation. He would have never said no. Although he was a man of few words, like my father. They will not talk ill of Congress openly, never. Although he had differences with Mr. Gandhi. He later on started this Congress as he was the president of the person who opposed the emergency. There's another story. Then he says, sir, it is correct, but what should we do now? He said, Pranab, I have done whatever was possible within my means to try to save Punjab and India. Please leave me out. I will never engage myself in any future negotiation. Number two was A.S. Atwal, DIG Police. He was Jalandhar range. He was exiting from Golden Temple in April 1983. And when he was shot dead by a follower of Bhindranwale, his dead body was lying at the gate for 2 hours. Nobody had the guts to remove. This Darwara Singh, Chief Minister, told Central that Guru Nanak Niwas is not a part of Golden Temple. I can send police to arrest him. No, sir, this was not given. Permission was not given. He could have been arrested from there. Your DIG has been killed. And third was, there was in October 1983, 6 Hindus were killed, taken out of bus. Who killed them, I don't know. And then it should have been a very serious thing. If people would have boiled over, Hindus protested. Only thing they did was they dismissed Darbara Singh's government, and then governor's rule was implemented. Then fourth one was SFF, Secret Frontier Force, Commando Force, R&AW. Here I was slightly involved. Before I handed over charge of the top secret branches, I arranged a meeting of MI6 representative with Mr. Kaur. As a result of that, SAS, Special Air Services Commandos of UK, they are the mother of all commandos. Now Israelis are also quite good. So for advice as to how to launch this operation. Operation was to pick up Bhindranwale from Langar roof when he was delivering a lecture like Osama bin Laden thing, sort of thing. Everything was prepared, advice was taken, models were prepared, then liaison with CRPF as to how will they do it. All this thing was prepared and explained to Mr. Gandhi in 1 October Road by Mr. Kaur and Mr. R.T. Nagrani, at that time Director General Security. So Mr. Gandhi, after listening to all that, said how many casualties will be there. Mr. Nagrani said 20% commandos and both the helicopters can go 6-7 commandos. Civilians, you see, what can I say? Normally only 200-300 people at the roof were there. Worst come to worst, those people would have shot down all the armed guards of Bhindranwale before dropping down, caught him alive and taken out. So he shot down that thing, that it will not, no, I can't tolerate so many casualties. Whereas within 2 months, it was April 84, within 2 months, Operation Blue Star started. So these 4 incidents were there. The only thing is they didn't want to capture Bhindranwale alive.
Yes.
He spilled the beans.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah, whatever you said, it's really, really heartening for us, sir. And according to you, the anti-Sikh pogrom in 1984 November in Delhi, which have happened in 1984 after Indira Gandhi's death. So, was that pre-planned? Do you explain that?
Let me now tell you, 7th of June, 1984, when the news came about Bhindranwale's death, Blue Star, so I went to Gurdwara Bangla Sahib in New Delhi along with my wife and children.
Okay.
What I saw was that people in groups were standing in the evening, and I saw one poster also there in which it was written, K. Singh Sahib, Amrik Singh and Thara Singh, two close friends of Bhindranwale, have been tortured to death. There was nothing of Bhindranwale that people did not believe at that time that Bhindranwale has been killed. That's why there's no mention. And now, after this, that they have been tortured to death, and now it is a duty of every Sikh to kill this Brahmini, that is Mrs. Gandhi. So I came back this morning and told Mr. Saxena. By the time I have left those posts, etc., but this was an important information. And I knew the Sikh history little bit. So I told him, said, I know a little bit of Sikh history. Anybody who has desecrated Golden Temple, Sikhs have not left without taking revenge. If I am not wrong, as far as my guess goes, Mrs. Gandhi will be assassinated in 6 months' time. So it is up to the concerned agencies to say, please tell them. He very significantly remarked that in that case, there will be large-scale killing of the Sikhs in New Delhi. So it means somebody must have discussed that morning that now Mrs. Gandhi could be killed, and somebody must have said. So here, this is the beginning. But there are three reasons, or three or four, why this program, I can say, was already planned. Number one was that if Mrs. Gandhi had been killed, there was no guarantee of Congress winning because Sikhs had taken revenge, 2 6 foolish people. So now it is settled. People will say that what is the use of this government who could not protect Mrs. Gandhi? Why should we vote? So a revenge, second was revenge. The mother's, that is, a son taking revenge of his mother's death. Second issue was this. Third was, which is more important, was Rajiv Gandhi was new to politics. There were so many other senior claimants, including Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. Under normal circumstances, he had no claim. So there had to be some riots and other things so that in that atmosphere, he is automatically appointed as Prime Minister by the So I have quoted here Vinay Satpathi's book also.
Yeah.
Half line, he has written, this is Mr. Narasimha Rao's biography. He mentioned this thing that after Rajiv Gandhi took oath of Prime Minister in the evening of 31st October, the day Mrs. Gandhi died, somebody called Narasimha Rao from Prime Minister's home. 90% it was Fotedar, M.L. Fotedar, political secretary to the Prime Minister. He called Narasimha Rao, the look here, for better coordination of the riots. Small riots had already started. To be of some interest, Rajiv at that time was on election tour of West Bengal. When Rajiv and Narasimha and Pranab reaches Calcutta, riots started there itself before he could reach Delhi. But Jyoti Basu was a very strict man. It was crushed. So it was planned that riots must start so that Jal Singh under pressure appoints him and conducive atmosphere is not there. So Satpathy writes that he called went that we will now better coordination, we will take over your police powers. Home Minister is in charge of police. They misuse that police power next year by converting ordinary rights to Sikh programs. And police had to take orders from them. Nobody was there to give orders. Yes. And then next morning, I heard on the police wireless network. I monitored that Golf 1, 2, 3, and on that I learned so much of things, shameful behavior of the police. I monitored police wireless net, Delhi police, for 3 days. I've quoted those incidents.
Yes.
No action by police.
Yes, sir. As you mentioned, before 1977, there is no pro-Khalistan movement or organizations, even in India and even in abroad also. But today, if we observe in some countries like Britain or in Canada, there are some groups who are fighting for the Khalistan. So some leaders are also there who are very influential in Canada, like Jagmeet Singh and all. And today, even in India, there are some farmer protests are happening. Behind those protests, there are some conspiracy theories also floating down. So what is your conclusion in this, sir? What needs to be done now to assuage the hurt feelings of the Sikhs and neutralize the pro-Khalistan organizations or movements?
Firstly, let me clear about the farmers issue. Generally, the farmers, they are not in favor of Khalistan. They have their own issues to be sorted out.
Correct.
Between farmers and the Khalistan and government. But certain anti-India elements, they can take advantage of this situation.
Correct.
And the government should isolate them and deal with them separately. Now, coming back to your main question, during this period 80 to 95, almost 35,006 had lost their life.
Oh.
Even KPS Gill in his book writes 21,000 in Punjab, Program another 14, 15 Delhi and other places, just for making Congress win 84 election. What was their fault? They were all ordinary Punjabi people, Sikh people. They were angry young men after Blue Star, after Delhi program, all these programs. So this was the result of, you can say, misadventure of couple of power-wielding young men like Sanjay Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. We are facing the consequences of that. The main problem is that Pakistan took advantage of this disturbances in Punjab.
Correct.
I have written in the book and told many that if Punjab had not been fiddled with, Pakistan could not have increased its activity. Kashmir problem was linked directly to this. Zia took advantage of that. And again, the Western countries, why should they not take advantage of this to create a leverage against India to take advantage of the commercial interest? And they will always say that we have liberty of speech, liberty of everything. But if they want, if their collective geopolitical interest is involved, like the present one against China, I've written in this book, as they did in Dalai Lama's case also, they can compromise, they can tell them in their own way, please now stop, we'll put you on back burner. But that situation not going to be solved. The situation can be solved right here in India. I have suggested the only thing is that what is the use of commissions, committees and SITs, 13 commissions to go into the program, only a few persons, and that also by the government, recent government, like Dharamdas and others sent to jail, who work. There are families who have lost 30 members of their family. How will they get justice? One more person inside. So only thing is, please forget. I attended a meeting in 2017 of Sikh Forum in Delhi.
Okay.
I've written in my book. Delhi, quietly, without anybody knowing at that time. I did not want to tell them. In that meeting, they always demanded action against Congress and other things. One of the representatives at the end mentioned that Sikhs are willing to forget about it or forgive about it. But please, he talks to the congressman, please at least apologize for that. And Congress people have been telling him that apology for what? Please produce this evidence, some evidence. Then I thought, I must write this book to provide that evidence. There is evidence. Now please deny. Congress people have not said anything. And then I have again written the main thing is two things should be done by the present government. Apology. Mr. Manmohan Singh has apologized in the parliament, but that was a technical apology, I said, to cleanse the conscience of the Congress party of its subconscious guilt. But then it should be a proper apology as Trudeau has done in 2016 against Komagata Maru incident. Very small incident, very good apology. Second thing is appoint Truth and Reconciliation Commission, TRC, as it was done in South Africa, headed by a retired Supreme Court judge and two judges sitting on retired Supreme Court. They should go into all that as to who was responsible, why it happened, how many Sikhs have been killed. There are 2,006 are missing. Although there are, you can find their names in cremation grounds, etc., but not there. At least people should know what happened. And then it's okay, people will move on. Even now also, there is no effect of this in Punjab at all. No Sikh, how can they, India is their country. They have sacrificed a lot for India.
Correct.
Freedom. India, whole of India belongs to them. Why should they get limited only to small? You can say Khalistan is not a possibility at all. It is only Pakistani and other. They are misguiding these people to take their own advantage.
Yes, sir. I wish your advices or your suggestions will be implemented by the leadership. I think
But I
I
have
wish,
done my
I
duty.
wish so.
I have done my duty. It's up to them, as other you people, to put pressure on the government that they must do something. But
Yes, sir.
at least they know they should do it else.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Sidhuji. Thank you very much for giving us this wonderful time. And a lot of truths and misfortunes happened by the leadership at that time. Thank you very much, sir. And I wish we will continue these conversations even further also. I want to know your experiences in detail in the next episodes, if possible. If possible. And I really appreciate that you are the true patriot for which Bharat Ma have given birth to. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks a lot for your compliments. And I have been watching your programs.
Sir,
And I am told that you are celebrating your second anniversary on 15th of August.
yes.
And I wish Nationalist Hub and you and your staff all the best in the future. And I hope to see much more of you on these TV interviews.
థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సార్. సో చూసారు కదా, అది GBS సిద్ధు గారి అంతరంగం. సో వారు చెప్తున్నట్టుగా ఖలిస్తాన్ మూమెంట్ అంతా కూడా ఇందిరాగాంధీ 1985 ఎలక్షన్స్ గెలవడం కోసం ముందుగా ఒక ప్రీ ప్లాన్డ్ గా కుట్రపూరితంగా చేసినటువంటి ప్రయత్నం. అంతకు ముందు పెద్దగా ఈ ఖలిస్తాన్ గురించి ఏమీ లేదు. కానీ ఆ ఖలిస్తాన్ అనే మూవ్మెంట్ ని బిల్డ్ చేసి తద్వారా ఎలక్షన్స్ లో దాన్ని మళ్ళీ అణిచివేసిన ఫీలింగ్ కల్పించి తద్వారా ఎలక్షన్స్ లో లబ్ధి పొందడం కోసం ఇందిరాగాంధీ ఆమె వంది మాగధులు చేసినటువంటి ప్రయత్నం. ఆ తర్వాత ఆ కుట్రలు, ఆ కుతంత్రాలు ఇప్పటికీ కొనసాగుతున్నాయి. ఆ విషబీజాలు ఇప్పటికీ సమస్యగా మారుతూ ఉన్నాయి. వీటికి పరిష్కారం కావాలి అని అంటే ఖచ్చితంగా ప్రభుత్వం చొరవ తీసుకొని సిక్కుల అంతరంగాన్ని తెలుసుకునే ప్రయత్నం చేయాలి. వాళ్ళని ఇంకొంచెం దేశభక్తులుగా ఉన్న వ్యక్తులపైన ఈ విషబీజాలు నాటుతున్న శక్తులని తరిమివేయాలి, వాళ్ళని కట్టడి చేయాలనేదే GBS సిద్ధు గారు చెప్తున్నమాట. ఇటువంటి దేశభక్తులు మన దేశానికి ఇంకా ఎక్కువ మంది రావాలి. ఇటువంటి వారి కృషి ఫలితంగా ఈ దేశం సమగ్రంగా ఉండగలుగుతోంది. ఇటువంటి మహానుభావులందరికీ శిరసు వంచి పాదాభివందనం చేద్దాం. నమస్తే.